Exposing the illusion. A critical rebuttal to Can Somalia's Third Republic be saved? A FIAA Elmi's policy note, Can Somalia's Third Republic be saved, presents itself as a sober, scholarly intervention in Somalia's political debate. In reality, it is a highly flawed, misleading, and dangerously nostalgic attempt to defend a dysfunctional political system and undermine the legal, inclusive, and democratic reforms currently underway under President Dr. Hassan Sheikh Mohammed's leadership. Elmi's article is not policy guidance but an exercise of intellectual confusion, elite apologies, and veiled partisanship. His arguments rest on three significant fallacies: that Somalia's Third Republic is functional, that opposition leaders represent democratic legitimacy, and that the current government's reforms threaten national unity. All three assumptions crumble under scrutiny. The myth of a functional Third Republic. Elmi romanticizes the political framework born out of the Art of Peace process, 2000, which established the Third Republic. But Somalia's so-called political settlement, built on the 4.5 clan-sharing formula, indirect elections, and elite deals, has produced exclusion, gridlock, and entrenched patronage. It has failed to evolve, failed to deliver services, and failed to include the millions of Somalis left outside clan power brokering. To portray this as a resilient system worth preserving is either dishonest or deeply out of touch. Opposition without a plan. Farmajo and Sheikh Sharif's empty politics. Elmi repeatedly condemns the current administration for allegedly excluding prominent political actors like former presidents Mohamed Abdullahi Farmajo and Sheikh Sharif Sheikh Ahmed. Yet he fails to address the obvious. These figures have no vision, no reform plan, and no democratic model to offer. Both men thrived under Somalia's corrupted indirect election system. They never pursued electoral reform when in power. Their only strategy today is to reject reforms that threaten their dominance. Their politics are purely reactionary, offering no alternative beyond no. A historic reform. One person, one vote. Elmi deliberately omits the most transformative element of President Hassan Sheikh's current agenda: a national transition to one person, one vote universal suffrage. This marks a potential turning point for Somali democracy, one that breaks away from elite-controlled indirect elections and clan dominance. The reform vision includes an open-list proportional representation for federal elections, or a clear structure for competitive political parties, a citizen-based electoral participation. This is not authoritarianism. It is long overdue democratic empowerment. Legally grounded, nationally inclusive constitutional amendments. Contrary to Elmi's claim that the government has acted unilaterally, the constitutional amendments under President Hassan's leadership have been conducted legally and inclusively. The process passed through the House of the People and the Upper House, Senate, by Articles 132 to 135 of the Provisional Federal Constitution. The Senate represents federal member states, ensuring that state voices are included in the legislative debate. In other words, this was not a centralized power grab, but a parliamentary process reflecting national legitimacy. Elmi's intellectual dishonesty and dangerous equivocation. Perhaps the most alarming and indefensible element of Elmi's argument is his implicit endorsement of consulting Al-Shabaab on constitutional amendments. In recent public commentary, and through framing his policy note, Elmi suggests that Somalia's reconciliation and constitutional legitimacy may require some form of engagement with all actors. This veiled reference includes the terrorist group Al-Shabaab. Let us be unequivocal. Al-Shabaab is a proscribed terrorist organization under international law, including UN Security Council Resolution 1844 and regional frameworks. It is responsible for mass killings, the destruction of institutions, the suppression of education and women's rights, and a sustained campaign against Somalia's democratic order. To suggest that such a group should be consulted in constitutional reforms is not nuance. It is a betrayal of Somalia's sovereignty and moral conscience. It is a direct insult to the thousands of Somalis, civilians, journalists, civil servants, students, who have died at the hands of this group. You do not consult terrorists on the design of a democratic constitution. You confront them with unity, law, and justice. Elmi's suggestion is not only strategically naive, it is ethically bankrupt. Federalism is not secessionism. Elmi's idea of federalism defends the unchecked autonomy of regional strongmen, many of whom refuse to cooperate with national frameworks. Some states, such as Jubaland and Puntland, act more like sovereign entities than federated partners. Reforms have not dismantled federalism. Instead, they have a rebalanced power through the National Consultative Council, NCC, a clarified roles across federal, state, and local levels. O proposed a realistic and affordable governance structure for post-conflict nation. This isn't authoritarianism, it's state-building. Political party reform, quality over quantity. Elmi decries the proposed limitation of official national parties to 3. But Somalia's current political environment is overrun with dozens of personality-driven, clan-based parties with no ideology or national agenda. The proposed electoral law ensures an open competition at local and state levels, a performance-based elevation of top parties to national status, a greater efficiency and clarity in governance. This is in line with global best practice. The 2020 electoral law even proposed a 4% threshold to rationalize the party landscape, something Elmi conveniently ignores. Indirect elections, a system of entrenched corruption. The system Elmi wants to protect is not democratic. It is a corrupt and elite-run mechanism of power preservation. Every round of indirect elections has been marred by a vote buying, delegate intimidation, a clan-based manipulation, or political exclusion. Somalia cannot afford to continue electing its future in hotel conference rooms. President Hassan's reforms move beyond this broken model. Conclusion: legal realism disguised as scholarship. FIAA Elmi's article, far from being a principled defense of Somalia's political architecture, is a textbook example of classic legal realism in action, where personal preferences and political loyalties masquerade as legal or scholarly reasoning. Rather than offering a balanced or constructive critique, Elmi builds his argument from a starting point of personal political aversion. I do not like Hassan Sheikh 2.0. Everything that follows is simply rationalization dressed in constitutional jargon and selective nostalgia. He ignores the legality of the reform process, misrepresents parliamentary inclusion, downplays the corruption of indirect elections, and dangerously proposes that constitutional amendments should be consulted with al-Shabaab. This is not sound policy analysis. It is an elite grievance cloaked in academic language. Somalia deserves better. The Somali people deserve truth, clarity, and an opportunity to participate in shaping their nation, not more confusion from intellectuals who defend a broken system out of habit or sentiment. By contrast, President Dr. Hassan Sheikh Mohammed's reform agenda, rooted in one person, one vote, and passed legally through inclusive parliamentary channels, is Somalia's most straightforward path to democratic renewal. It is far from perfect, but it is transparent, participatory, and focused on the future, not bound to the failures of the past. Thanks for watching. Abdullahi Mohoddin Hassan Abdullah Yabro has prepared this program. He is a master of law, legal researcher, scholar politics, and international legal advisor. Until next time, stay curious.